All right, so today we're going to deep dive into something I think a lot of people are curious about, and that's the Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Ultra. And we've got reviews here from Forbes vetted, Android Police, Stuff, and also Phone Arena. And I'm really curious about this. I mean, is this really the ultimate tablet?
Yeah.
Or is it just too much?
Well, it's interesting because when you look at all the reviews, the first thing that everybody points out is just how big this thing is. I mean, 14.6 inches. That's larger than a lot of laptops.
Yeah, the Forbes vetted reviewer actually used it as their only device on a trip, just to avoid those extra baggage fees. But Android Police had some issues with the size. They said that those thin bezels make it kind of hard to hold without accidentally touching the screen.
Yeah, and Stuff makes a similar point. They say it's great for multitasking, having two apps side by side, but not so great if you want to, read one-handed on the couch.
Yeah, so it's kind of a trade-off, right? I mean, how important is portability to you? Would you be willing to sacrifice a little bit of that to get all of that screen space? Now, in terms of the design, it seems like everybody agrees the build quality is excellent. I mean, like you would expect from Samsung.
Yeah.
They're glass and aluminum, very thin. But
there's a but coming, isn't there?
There is. It doesn't seem like they really changed the design that much from previous Galaxy Tabs. And Android Police was particularly critical of that. They were talking about the notch for the front-facing cameras and that awkwardly placed fingerprint reader under the display, and then the S Pen charging on the back, which makes it prone to rolling off of surfaces. Well, if they keep using the same design over and over, are they going to hurt their reputation for innovation? I mean, are people going to start to think they're just playing it safe? It's a good point. So what do you think? I mean, are these design flaws deal breakers for you? Or is the overall package appealing enough that you can overlook those things?
Yeah, that's up to the individual user. But speaking of appealing, let's talk about the display and the sound, because this is where this tablet really shines. I mean, everybody loves this 14.6-inch AMOLED screen. It's incredibly sharp, very vibrant colors, and it also has a 120 hertz refresh rate.
Okay, so that means everything's going to look super smooth and be really responsive. I bet movies and games look fantastic.
Absolutely, and they've even added this new anti-reflective coating, which everybody really seems to like. Stuff even said that for widescreen content. This might actually be a little bit better than the iPad Pro.
Wow, high praise. And they say the speakers are great, too. Very loud, clear audio. So for watching movies or listening to music.
Yeah, it really seems like they nailed it when it comes to that whole multimedia experience. It really seems like they're targeting people who want a really nice, immersive entertainment experience.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. Under the hood, the Tab S10 Ultra is powered by a MediaTek Dimensity 9300 Plus processor. And this is the first time that Samsung's used a MediaTek chip in a flagship tablet. Yeah, they usually go with Qualcomm Snapdragon.
So I guess that raised some eyebrows.
It did.
Yeah.
But you know what? Both Phone Arena and Android Police were really impressed. The benchmark showed that it actually performs significantly better than the previous Tab S9 Ultra, which had a Snapdragon chip. And they said multitasking is really smooth, no lag at all, even when they're using demanding apps and games.
So this MediaTek chip is a game changer. I wonder if this means Samsung is going to stop using Qualcomm chips in their tablets. I mean, could we see even more powerful and affordable Android tablets in the future?
Yeah, that's something to think about. But another thing that Samsung was really focusing on with this tablet was all the AI features. They've got Note Assist, Sketch to Image, Circle to Search, even Transcript Assist.
Wow. So how did those features perform in real-world testing?
Well, the Stuff reviewer really liked Sketch to Image. But some of the other features they thought were kind of gimmicky. I mean, it's cool at first. But do they really add that much value in the long run?
Yeah, I think that's really going to depend on the individual user and how they use the tablet. I mean, for some people, these AI features might be revolutionary, but for others, they might just feel like unnecessary bells and whistles.
Yeah, for me, I'm a little skeptical. But I have to try them out to really know for sure. Now let's talk about how this stacks up against the iPad, because Samsung's One UI is actually pretty good. It's very functional, and it's optimized for the big screen.
Yeah, and they've got features like multi-window support and DeX mode, which basically turns your tablet into a desktop computer. And let's not forget about the Android file management system. It's much easier to use than what you get on the iPad.
For sure.
Yeah.
But all the reviewers agree that Apple still has the edge when it comes to software for creative professionals. I mean, they have full-fledged Photoshop, Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro.
Yeah, those are professional-grade apps. Yeah. And Android just doesn't have anything that comes close.
So, if you're a creative professional, you might love the hardware of this tablet. but the software might just be a deal breaker. Now, in terms of battery life, the Tab S10 Ultra has an 11,200 mAh battery. It's pretty big. Yeah, but that giant screen has got to use a lot of power, right?
Yeah, but the reviewers were pretty happy with it. Most of them said they got multiple days of use on a single charge, and Phone Arena actually got almost 9 hours of continuous web browsing and over 11 hours of 3D gaming.
Wow, that is impressive. So how does that compare to the iPad Pro?
Well, it's a little bit complicated. I mean, the battery life is good, but some benchmarks do show that the iPad Pro still performs a little bit better. And one other thing, Samsung doesn't include a charger in the box, even though it does support 45-watt fast charging.
So you might have to buy a separate charger if you want to charge it up quickly.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot. The size, the design, that amazing display, the performance, the software, and the battery life. I mean, there's no doubt that the Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Ultra is an incredibly powerful and capable tablet. But is it really Ultra? Or does it fall short in some areas?
Well, let's discuss that and see what conclusions we can come to. So this Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Ultra, it's definitely a statement piece, isn't it?
It is. It's huge and powerful. But like we were talking about, maybe not the best for like throwing in your bag.
Yeah, it's great if you want to watch movies
Yeah.
or do some serious multitasking.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly what you'd call portable.
Right. And then there are those design choices.
Yeah.
Like that notch and the fingerprint reader and the S Pen that rolls off the table. I mean, do you think maybe Samsung is getting a little lazy with their designs?
Well, it is strange, for a company that's known for innovation to keep putting out the same design year after year. But I guess for some people, if familiarity is actually a good thing. I guess so. I mean, some people like to know what they're getting, but I guess the bigger question is, who is this tablet really for?
Well, I think it's for someone who really values screen real estate. Someone who wants a huge canvas for work and play.
Someone who wants a portable movie theater.
Exactly. And also someone who's really invested in the Android ecosystem. They want that flexibility and customization.
And they're willing to pay a premium price.
They are. This is definitely not a budget tablet.
So it seems like this tablet is aimed at a pretty specific user. Someone who values certain features and is willing to pay for them.
Exactly. And speaking of value, before we move on, I want to ask you something.
Okay, sure.
When you think about getting a new tablet, what are the most important things to you? What are your must-haves? And what are your deal breakers?
Those are good questions.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype. All the new features, the cool design, but you really need to think about how you're actually going to use it.
Right. Does it actually make your life easier? Or is it just another gadget that's going to end up in a drawer?
Exactly. So going back to the Tab S10 Ultra, would you say that this is like a groundbreaking device, or is it just kind of an incremental update?
That's a tough one. I mean, it does push the boundaries of what an Android tablet can be. That massive screen, the incredible performance, and all those AI features, those are all big steps forward.
But at the same time, it feels kind of familiar. It's not a radical redesign, and some of those design choices are kind of questionable.
You're right. It's not for everyone. It's a niche product for a specific type of user.
So maybe the lesson here is bigger isn't always better.
Right. It really depends on what you're looking for. Now, before we wrap up, I have one last question for you. Do you think this is the future of tablets? Are we all going to be using these supersized devices?
Or are people going to stick with smaller tablets that are easier to carry around?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And I don't think there's an easy answer. I mean, on the one hand, these huge tablets are amazing for like watching movies and stuff, but you can't really take them everywhere.
It's like what's happening with phones, too. You've got these giant phones that barely fit in your pocket. And then you've got the smaller phones that are making a comeback.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it just shows that there's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to tech. Some people want the biggest screen possible, and some people want something that's more portable.
So it sounds like the success of these supersized tablets really depends on whether they can find their niche. I mean, they're not for everyone, but for some people, they might be the perfect device.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things I like about this deep dive. We're not just talking about specs and features. We're really trying to help people understand if this device is right for them.
Yeah, it's all about figuring out what you need and what's important to you. So what are your biggest takeaways from all this?
Well, for me, it's that Samsung is really targeting a specific type of user with this tablet. They're not trying to make a tablet that everyone will love. They're focusing on a niche market.
And that's a risky move. But it could really pay off if they can connect with the right people. Now, before we go, I want you to think about something. How has the way you use technology changed over the years?
Yeah, like, do you prefer bigger screens now, or are you still using smaller devices?
And what do you think the future of tech looks like for you? Do you want more immersive experiences? Or is portability still your top priority?
These are great questions to think about as technology keeps evolving.
Well, that's about it for our deep dive into the Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Ultra. We hope you found this discussion helpful.
Yeah, we always love to hear your thoughts, so head over to our social media and let us know what you think. Would you buy the Tab S10 Ultra? What features are most important to you in a tablet?
We love hearing from you. And until next time, happy tech exploring.